All right, cool. I don't see anyone else coming in. But what's good, everyone? My name is Bomani. I'm gonna be leading the class today. And just like I guess I say a few things about me, but I'm an educator, creative director, and I've been in the crypto space since about probably 2015, 2016, around there. Um, so it's just really cool to see everything progressing, and I'm really excited to have this discussion today. I will say too, like it's a discussion, so I'm really will enjoy if like people actually like to chimed in um when some questions are posed and so we can actually have I want discussion. Like humans learn through action. So I'm never been like just a lecturer just gonna sit here and talk to you guys. I want everyone's opinions. I want to hear people's perspectives. Um so yeah, let's get started. I want to first like actually talk about before we get into like the NFTs and smart contracts and things of that nature. Um, everything has context. Like sometimes I'm not one to just discuss one topic because everything uh things have led to this point. So I think we should kind of talk about what why we're in this situation that we're in now, and so we can actually think about it's important to understand history so we can understand the present and then predict the future. Um, so my first question, I'm always gonna start with a question because I want everyone to actually talk. So I would like if someone could just chime in on their perspective of like what's the point of technology? Like why do we even create technology in the first place?
Uh, Hello, I'm Zareen, and I guess we're to automate and make society better.
Okay, appreciate it. Okay. So Zareen said, thank you, Zareen. To automate
Mhm.
and make society better. So can I get one more perspective?
Technology. Why do we make it? Hello,
Hey,
can you
yeah,
hear
the
me?
question is, yeah, what's the point of
Uh,
technology? Why do we create tech?
well, technology, I guess, is like an extension of our behavior. Like we do something, we need something, and then we eventually find a way to use something outside of ourselves to be able to achieve that. Like a stick, if you need to get into a hole for something, then you use the stick to try and get there instead of your finger. If you want to plow the field, and it's too much work for you, then you use the horse, because the horse is the technology. So it's like extensions of our lives and our behavior, I guess.
Thank you, thank you, thank you. So yeah, I mean, yeah, both of those are correct. I guess the Webster definition of technology is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. So that fits what both you just said. Um, but I want to focus on. I like using either one word or three words. That's my thing, is to make things as simple as possible. So with tech, a lot of times we use the word efficiency. Um, Oh dang, did my voice go out?
Yeah, I couldn't hear you for the last like 3 minutes.
Oh man, I'm sorry. Okay. Okay, yeah. So wait, where did it leave off?
You're talking about the definition of technology, and then it got muted.
Okay, my apologies. Okay, so yeah, so the definition of tech is the application of scientific knowledge for practical purposes. Um, and that just is fits perfectly to what both people just said, that to make things easier. Um, we create technologies to make things easier, and it's not always kind of it's not always electronic. Tech can be art is tech. Um, and the word I like to use for in terms of technology is efficiency. So humans create things to make things more efficient. And when it's not more efficient, it doesn't get adopted for the most part. And every time I have this conversation with a lot of artists, sometimes like, I don't know, like, is art technology? Like, absolutely, art is absolutely technology. It's efficient language, it's efficient communication. Uh, everyone always, you always hear about the, a picture tells 1,000 words. But it's efficient. Art is efficient, and it's how we can convey, feelings, messaging, to multiple people. And a lot of times the point of tech is to reach more people and to make tasks easier. So, and you can go all the way down, to a lot of times in terms of what we adopt. We adopt things when it's cheaper, um, when it's easier to use for, like, the majority of people. That's when things get adopted. But in terms of what we create things to be more efficient. So just I would like to. I'm just saying that so that we can understand from the beginning all the way to past Web3 and past 4 or 5, whatever, that all these concepts are going to continue to be the same. So it's good to understand history so we can analyze, like, the present and then predict the future. Um, so okay, so let's go. We're gonna skip into web. Well, I guess go in the past to Web 1. So can anyone give me a really quick description of what Web 1 was? If not, then I'll just go straight to it.
I don't really know how to describe Web 1 really.
Okay, cool. Okay, that's cool. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for speaking, Zareen.
I'm trying.
I- um, okay, cool. So Web 1.0, in a nutshell, we're not gonna go all deep into it, but Web 1.0 was pretty much like the beginning of the adopted internet. Um, but the word I like to use for Web 1 is information. So it's information, where now it was easier for a vast amount of people to obtain information. Things like, Wikipedia, websites start popping up. So then more people can obtain information. So that's the word I use for Web 1.0. And then when new tech gets adopted, usually it comes with hardware and software, new hardware and new software. So with Web 1, obviously, it was the rise of the personal computer. Um, and then the software we got were, I guess, the mass adopted software were websites. So I always remember, like, new tech. Okay, what hardware is going to be evolved? What software is going to be evolved? Of course, like, we can go all deeper into, like, what makes the protocol and stuff like that. But that really, I'm not trying to do all that right now. So yeah, Web 1, information, hardware, PC, personal computer, software, websites. Okay, what about Web 2.0? Anyone for Web 2.0?
There was the adoption of commerce, I guess.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so yeah, commerce is definitely involved. Yeah, that's true. That is very true. So I guess the bigger, wider range word I would use for Web 2, and that's used, is communication. So when we think about our social networks, Facebook, Amazon, Facebook, Twitter, MySpace, like all that stuff, Pinterest, all that stuff came with the adoption of Web 2, where people started just communicating on a global level. And that's where commerce and stuff does come into play um, as well. But with Web 2, in terms of hardware, we got mobile devices. So that's where mobile devices start popping up, start getting popular. Because again, if communication is a big thing, then we want to make sure the point of tech is always to make things more efficient, make things easier, more available for people, more people, and make tasks easier. So it makes sense for everyone to be carrying around. It didn't make any sense for everyone to be carrying around a desktop or a laptop. So the technology was created so that everyone can communicate through these personal devices. Okay, so now let's go to Web3. So can anyone give me a description or a perspective of what Web3 is?
Everything is completely decentralized. Nobody has a central and global control, and the community is making decisions.
Nice, thank you. Thank you, Pierre. Is that right, Pierre?
Yeah, thank you. I'm Pierre. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Pierre. Anyone else? Hopefully we all learn and can keep interacting with each other. Um, but yeah. So it can get another perspective of what Web3 is. There's no right or wrong answer. Like there's literally just perspectives.
Boy is saying security in the chat.
Okay, cool. But you said security?
Yeah,
Nice.
she's typing it in the chat. And Hyper Icon also is
Oh,
saying no ads and stealing of personal data.
yes. Yes. Okay, let me actually I'm waiting looking at the chat. I
Yeah,
apologize
it's
for
in the
that.
resident too. Yeah.
Apologize for that. Thank you. Okay, cool. Browsing sites with your wallet. Nice. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you so much. But yeah, all those are every single one of those are correct. Um, we got decentralization, security, and I'm sorry, go for it. Okay, I thought someone had something to say. But yeah, all those are correct. And again, the big overarching word that I would like to use just to keep things simple, um, would be ownership. I think ownership um is the big there's a lot of big words you can use because I like security, I like that, and decentralization are two big words. But in terms of what we're talking about today, we're going to talk about ownership and how that plays into the future of tech and why this tech currently is so important. Oh, my bad. We're here trying to go through the chats and my notes. Okay, cool. Yeah. So Web3, we have blockchain tech, we got crypto, we have NFTs, and all these things are created again, going all the way back to the overarching thing of why we create things is to make things more efficient, more available to people, and to make tasks easier. Um, and I will add this too. Like this is a conversation for another time. But when it comes to decentralization, yes, yes, it is true. It is true. However, sometimes I like looking forward into the future sometimes and just kind of predict like how this plays out. Um, because also too, you have to understand the history repeats itself, and pretty much in every era of technology, in this case, we're going to talk about one, two, and three. The promise is that because of who we are, we're humans. We make things to make things to make be more efficient. The promise is always more people will have availability to resources. So whatever age you go through, that's going to be the promise. But obviously, we can see with how things turned out, um, with like tech companies stuff like that. And I'm a technologist, so I'm not poo-pooing technology. But in terms of like centralization and power, we see that humans, we always tend to uh, take advantage of technology, to the point where sometimes people are disadvantaged. So even though Web3, yes, decentralization is correct, but if you look out into however, if you do look out into the future, we can you can kind of predict that, even though let's say it's not going to be 14 banks this are the in charge of everything, it might be a million individual people that still have you know amassed a majority of the wealth that become the banks. So that's still a centralized. It's just it's not necessarily purely decentralized. It's just more decentralized than the past system. Does that make sense? That makes sense.
Yes.
Okay, cool. Thank you. Okay, so let's head into NFTs. NFTs, non-fungible tokens. Can I get some perspectives of what NFTs are, what they do, what do you think about them? Just give me some perspectives.
I think that there's a lot of visions, but thinking about only the technology is just like a token that you can like put anything you want inside this token, and it can be tradable by wallets. And yeah, like I think the huge meaning is like what we put inside this token and how do we talk about them. And sometimes it's art, sometimes I think before it was before it's being art it was like other things. And yeah, I think that's it.
Thank you. Some good. Hold up. Okay, yeah. So that was really good. Thank you. So let's see. You got digital signature of ownership of anything. I like that. So again, that's that key word that we're talking about, ownership. Um, and I like that you brought up the tokens and tokenization aspect because that's a very big part too. Um, but yeah, so in a nutshell, again, I like keeping things as simple as possible. But NFTs provide people with digital ownership, and it's through multiple technologies, especially blockchain specifically. But again, we're just this is a we're not going to high level. Yeah, we're just going to talk. Just say yeah, digital ownership is like the big aspect of NFTs. So I like you brought up the art aspect, and that's kind of what we're going to go into a little heavier, where why this matters in art, and how artists can take advantage of the tech of the time, and again predict the tech of the future and how they can mold and create the future. So the thing with NFTs that when I'm talking like to artists, and I'm not necessarily a like traditional artist in terms of drawing or sculpting. I'm a film and editor, so that's like my art and music. I like that's my thing. But I want to specifically continue to talk about ownership, because it's cool. It's a cool. It's a cool phenomenon that now artists um, can now take control of their work. Usually, from the past to now, um, we've been like a subsidiary of like of other people's IP, other people's intellectual property. So let's say like if a music artist is wants to do a cover art, you hire artists to help you with the cover art. But when that artist goes and makes when the music artist goes and sell a million records, goes platinum, uh, it's very difficult for that artist who made the cover art to continue to make money as that music artist makes money. Um, and that's I mean that's a problem because everything is art, and like art is so important in terms of again, language, uh, communication, expression. So I think that I would like to. No, I think I would definitely love it if we continue to. Trying to find the right word. Continue to embrace like always. I think artists should always embrace the technology of the time, especially with NFTs. Um, and again, I'm gonna keep stressing this. This is the technology of the time. Um, and the promise is always going to be it can help make things make more efficient and make tags easier. So always use technology as a median to your work. Um, it's never like the final solution for anything. Of course, you still got to be a good artist. And good is relative, but in terms of if you're looking at monetization and mass adoption or recognize you know, being recognized, then you still have to have something that people want to consume, if that's what you're looking at. So there are. I'm sorry, one second. Okay, cool. Yeah. So with NFTs, you got a few different platforms that I just want. I don't know what you guys like have talked about in the past, but just to cover stuff real quick. Um, so there are platforms for like creating NFTs that come with default smart contracts, and we're gonna go into smart contracts right after this. But there are platforms for creating NFTs, and then there's platforms that are uh, more of a marketplace where it doesn't really come with default smart contracts. You're just mostly uh, pretty much like you're selling art. Um, and then there are platforms that are being. I'm going to put all this stuff in the chat too afterwards. But then there are platforms being created right now because the tech is new, so things are still being made. But there are platforms like Manifold. Manifold is a good one that's coming out, and Nameless. Nameless is was created by NFT 42, and NFT 42 they're the company that helped create the platform for Gary Vee's VeeFriends. If you guys are familiar with that, but there are platforms that have been created so that artists and like the non programmers can create their own custom contracts. And that's gonna be again. We're gonna go into smart contracts to explain like the importance of that. And then I'm also I'll type it afterwards. The different platforms for like OpenSea and Rarible, those come with default smart contracts that you can't really customize, but they're still smart contracts nonetheless. And then there's like super rare things of that nature that are just more marketplaces than anything else. But I'm gonna put all this information in. I like that smart contracts. That was cool. So I'm looking in the chat. Um, yeah. So let's get to smart contracts. So smart contracts. I guess I always start with a question. Can anyone explain what a smart contract is? Thank you for the link for Manifold, by the way. Thank you. And the other one was Nameless, if you just looking. But I'm sorry, can anyone explain smart contracts?
Yeah, like the
Okay, go ahead.
yeah,
Yeah,
you can go. No,
you go
that's
ahead because I was actually gonna say I don't really know. Go ahead.
yeah, like smart contract is a thing connected in the blockchain that allows you to make sort of some rules, and I don't know, like it's I don't know. That's it.
Okay, I like that. So I'm with the rules. I like that's the word I'm gonna take from that. That was good. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so yeah, so I like the word rules. That's a good word. So smart contracts basically. So the whole point is to cut out the middleman. Okay, so through middlemen, uh, one middleman, they take out uh, you as you keep. It's like the game telephone. I know you guys play telephone where you like say you whisper to someone, and you guys keep going in a circle and they keep whispering what they just heard, and then eventually ends up being something completely different. But each time you go through a median, uh, you are subject to interpretation of that median that you went through. Um, so it's always best to go like the word for in crypto and Web3 say peer to peer. So that's like person to person, and not have that middleman. Also, middlemen take a percentage in terms of money. Middlemen always take a percentage of whatever the original item is, or whatever it is. Um, and then in terms of human systems, there's a few things too. Human systems. So think about a court. Um, and when you go to a court for a dispute. The judge, the jury, these are all humans. Okay, these are all humans, and when you dealing with humans, you're dealing with bias, perspective, and things of that nature. So with smart contracts, the hope and the goal and what they do is to take away all of that middleman. So I'll give you a good example. So I think smart this whole conversation is going to be completely different. I think by this time this year in terms of the application of smart contracts. But just an example would be, so let's say you let someone borrow your car. Okay, let someone borrow your car, and you said, I say, hey, can I borrow your car? I'm trying to go to. I'm from Atlanta, Georgia. So, um, can I go to? I want to go to, let's say, New York. I'm trying to drive to New York. Um, and I say, okay. And right now, there's not really one. There's not a lot of things so that you can know that that person only went to New York. And then the thing is, if they don't go to New York, it's really difficult to penalize that action. And then let's say you get into a wreck. Once you get into a wreck, then again, there might be disputes that will allow you to have to go to a court, go to people, go to other third parties to what's what I'm looking for, to reconcile, like to make to so you can get money back, so you can just whatever get your repairs. But with a smart contract, what a smart contract would do conceptually is that you would have things like all this is a combination of multiple technologies too, by the way. So I would have GPS in my car, um, where I can track if I say, hey, sure, you can take this to New York. Don't take it anywhere else. Don't go anywhere else. Go to New York, come back. I can have GPS connected to this program. A smart contract is just it's a program, it's a computer program. Um, it's connected to the blockchain, so I can have a GPS connected, and then once that person breaks that contract, in the contract it says has location. Go here. This is the rules. Like you said, rules. I like the word rules. These are the rules of the contract. Um, Once that rule is broken, then that's when you have like things like digital wallets connected. Um, Once that rule is broken, it's gonna take 0.02 ETH from your wallet, you know? So that's an incentive for one, you not to do anything ridiculous because you know that is coming in automatically. But it takes that middleman out of the situation. If I get into a wreck, this what happens. XYZ happens. So it just takes that middleman out. That's more like practical application where I think things are going. But in terms of NFTs, it allows the artist to create rules for your art, for your creation. Um, and some of those rules, and again, these are still continually being pushed. Like the limits are being pushed, and new creations, new applications are being created on a daily basis. So it's good to always out in terms of like information. Information, I would it's so important. I would definitely go on Twitter, like have like find some people that talk about that you're interested in, that talk about these things. I would just search NFT, search Web3, NFTs and art, um, and follow some people who actively talk about it, because then you can get into like Twitter Spaces and podcasts and like uh, listen to these people talk. And this it's so important to listen to different people's perspective because it's always a new application that can allow you to create something better for your stuff. Um, yeah. So in terms of the artist, Uh, again, ownership. Ownership is the big word. So I'll ask this question: what does ownership? What can you do with ownership? I just mean in general, like when you own something, what are things you can do with that item that you own?
You have the right to destroy it.
Absolutely, absolutely. Anything else?
Yeah, you can exchange to other people, you can sell or anything.
Yes, absolutely. Anything else? Anything else? Let me get one more.
You can kind of like jurisdict where you want it seen or where it's allowed.
Yes, that's beautiful. All those are beautiful. So yeah, we got the right to destroy it. Absolutely, it's yours. You do what you want with it. um, you choose where it's seen and where it's distributed and how it's distributed. And I'm sorry, what was the second one?
I was saying about exchange and trade and sell.
There we
I
go.
don't.
Yes, yes. And you can exchange it with others. Um, and smart contracts and the blockchain really allow all of those, but there are a set of rules that are programmed uh and yeah, they're programmable rules that take away the middleman. So that's the main thing. Programmable rules that take away the middleman. Um, and then from there you can do things like gamify it. So also to think about something you can do with things that you own is that you can take it apart. You can put things together. You can paint it. You can color it. Like you can color something different. So I always think of even the aesthetic things of what you can do. You know, if I have a laptop, all those laptops have different parts that I can take apart and make a new computer. So, and again, these applications are consistently being, but just I always have that in mind. Like, okay, what can I do with ownership? What do I do with things that I own now currently? Um, and then you can apply that to when you're creating these smart contracts. So things like having the freaking I don't know transformer project in transformer NFTs where like everyone has individual parts, and then you can make it so that all those people the community is also a big aspect. We're going there too, but yeah, you can make it where everyone who owns these parts, I can get with you and combine my NFTs to create a new NFT that looks like the parts that are combined. So all these ownership, once you have ownership of something, there's so much you can do with it. And I definitely want to make sure that when you're having these tech conversations or these conversations about new technology and things of that nature, you don't get like spooked out about it or like, oh, I don't know what's going on, because you do know what's going on. Cause we copy history repeats itself. So all technology, again, go back to the beginning. It makes things efficient, makes things easier to use for mass adoption. And then in this case, we're talking about ownership and NFTs. The things that you can do with things that you currently own right now, that's what could be done with these NFTs and smart contracts in the digital world. Okay, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Totally.
Okay, and if it doesn't, also too, let me know. Let me know. The whole point, I'm not talking just to hear myself talk. Like I want it to make sense to everyone. So if it doesn't make sense, say, nah, man, that makes no sense whatsoever. And then I can explain it in a different way. Um, okay, yeah, cool. So also too, I in this too, in terms of smart contracts, there are different. We're not really gonna go like too deep into like different blockchains, but there are different blockchains have different languages they use to create smart contracts. So like Ethereum, I'll just go with the biggest one right now. Right now, Ethereum is Solidity. Um, yeah, that's all I'm gonna talk about that right now. Um, but also I'll say this too. It's it's really cool if you can have a conversation. That's what Web 2 and communication is so cool. With Twitter and Discord and everything. Try to have a conversation with a developer, and get their perspective of what they think the technology is going to do. Um, because it's always important to obtain as much information as possible. Because even when you think it's not relevant to you or what you're doing, you're gonna be creating something, and you're gonna be like, oh, I can do this because you're gonna remember this one piece of conversation where Bomani said, oh, you can make some transformer NFTs. The fact that that's possible then helps you create create something that's different than what you originally thought. So definitely try to have it's cool that you guys are here listening. Always try to have conversations with people in this chat, developers, super tech people, super artsy people, um, to get that perspective, and that's where the crazy stuff gets created, when you understand multiple aspects and multiple perspectives. Okay, yeah. So the other thing with NFTs is let's talk about like the money aspect. I think it's actually pretty important. I know sometimes, um, I used to be horrific with like if I'm like shooting a music video, like creating something for someone. I used to be super bad at like asking for money. Um, and I don't know if some of you guys can understand. Um, but then also too, like I said, when projects do well or someone makes makes more money off of what you help create, it's hard. It's just really difficult to have to negotiate with that person, or just not, you just don't get paid for what you did and what you're worth. So this space and this tech is trying to help that, and that's again, smart contracts are just to automate these processes so you don't have to deal with the human aspect of things. And with monetization, that's super important just because it's just so hard having to negotiate, talk to people, argue about money. So, my bad, 1 second. Okay, yeah. So, and I add one more thing too. Web 1, 2, and 3 are not exclusive to each other, and 4, 5, 6, whatever, it's gonna keep going. Web 3 is created because of 1 and 2. So it's not oh, NFTs are here, now I can just make some art and charge people and then I'll get paid for it. No. That's not what will happen. Web 2 created a system where you can create community, um, through communication and through these platforms where people can know who you are, why you're doing what you're doing. More people, like, of course, you can always just have a physical conversation with someone, but more people can know. So it's important to utilize the technology of the past. My bad. Someone. I'm sorry. So it's important to utilize the technologies of the past, um, so you can be successful in the present, and then again, so then we can predict the future. So when you're doing your art, when you're trying to show your art to the world, um, it is very important to again utilize Twitter, Instagram. Most right now, the cultural thing right now is Twitter and Discord for NFTs. That's gonna, of course, again, that's things are gonna change. Someone's gonna make a new platform, and that's gonna be the thing of the time. But right now, Twitter, Discord, um, and now Twitter Spaces is getting pretty big in the NFT community. That's why it's good to follow people who talk about this stuff on Twitter, and then you'll see their Twitter Spaces pop up when they have these spaces, and then you can get into more conversations. Um, yeah. So all the NFTs are a good median for monetizing your stuff or getting what you're worth as an artist. You still have to do your due diligence. If you care about the monetization part, again, you don't have to care. Some people don't care. Some people just create just to create. But if you do care about the monetization part, um, then awareness is important, and it's important for people to see what you're doing and to see who you are and why you're doing what you're doing. And that's when you utilize Discord, Twitter, things of that nature to just tell your story, show your work, and then that community of those people who believe in you, who see, oh, this is really cool, will hop in to your NFT project, to your artwork, and say, "Oh, this is cool," and then you can, get paid from it if that's what you care about. Um, so okay, all that. So now that we understand Web 1, Web 2, and Web 3, where kind of the state of where we are right now in terms of NFTs. I would like to try to get you guys to maybe predict where like the next phase, like what would Web 4 look like, or what's the next phase of creation? If Web 1 is information, Web 2 is communication, and Web 3 is ownership, what's the next step in technology for people? And I'm gonna give you guys a little time to think, but we definitely got. I want to hear perspectives on this one.
What's next for technology?
Yeah, so it's like again, like I say, if Web 1 is information, if Web 2 is communication, and Web 3 is ownership, what's like the next phase of where we're going?
Maybe uh, altered experience, as in perception, like with things like wearables and whatnot. With uh, not so maybe virtuality, but also I think more augmented reality. So we'll be able to experience our lives. The bandwidth of what we experience and what we interact with will be like wider, and the how would you say, the connection will be shorter. So we'll be able to see things that aren't there. We'll be advertised to. We'll be able to buy things that are in front of us, which everything's linked together on the internet. We'll be seeing it daily, as it were.
I like that. That was a really good answer. I really appreciate that. Was a really good answer. Um, so yeah, just to reiterate what was said. Um, so AR and VR, which are for sure gonna be ridiculously huge. I personally think AR is gonna be bigger because AR is gonna give us internet connectivity, but in the real world. Um, but VR is gonna be huge as well. We talk about the metaverse and things of that nature. So yeah, I think that was a really good answer actually. I agree. I agree that that's going to be uh, a huge phase in human human society coming up next. And then again adding things like NFTs. So I personally am my focus. has become like recently. I've been started focusing with like things like gaming. Um, and again, as artists, this is another cool thing. There are things like Engine. So Engine is a originally before NFTs and stuff like that, they were a company that worked on Minecraft servers. Um, so they just worked on servers. But now Engine is like a big player in uh, the gaming world when it comes to NFTs and ownership and tokenization and things of that nature. Um, but the cool thing now is that you can create characters, you can create items, um, and those items can have inherent value. So we don't really see this right now with Ethereum. A lot of stuff is like, oh, someone has to care about your art to buy it, but there are already games out. Um, and I guess I'll also type that in so you guys can see that there are games out already. Um, through Engine, through things like Gala Games, where the NFT it already has inherent value. So let's say like you have to have um let's say I have like 100 Engine coins, and in order to make an NFT, I put up 50 Engine coins to make 1,000 treasure boxes. I guess I'll say swords. I'm making a sword. I make 1,000 editions of this sword, and I put up 50 Engine, and that 50 Engine gets distributed amongst those thousand swords. So then when you do something like um remember, always going back to ownership, things in the physical world do have like inherent they do have value. Whether or not someone wants to buy it or not. I'm looking at a table right now that's made out of wood. I can turn that wood, we said you have the right to destroy whatever you want. I can turn that wood or I can turn that table into just raw materials that I can use for something else. So keep that in mind when we were talking about what ownership does. You can turn things that are a compound of different items into raw materials. Um, so with this sword that I just created, if the person who collects a sword in the game, they can do something called like burn it, and burning it gives you the ability to just turn that actual sword into inherit crypto. Um, so yeah, so it actually gives the item like actual value, no matter if people want to buy it or not. So that again, that's just different aspects, different things that happen in this space. Um, but yeah, so also too, so what you just said with AR and VR, I think that I just think it's gonna be huge. Also, the Niantic, they're the ones. I think I said that right. They're the ones who made Pokemon Go, and I think they just got value for like $9 billion to create. They have an AR developers kit, so if any of you guys are like interested in getting in that space and but don't really care too much about programming every individual, AR piece, they're coming out with a developers kit that allows you to use their technology, uh, the AR technology and spatial technology, 3D modeling, so that you can create around that tech, so you don't have to worry about all that the super specific technology. Um, but I think also too, I think that's gonna be big because just I mean, imagine. I don't know if you guys play Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, things of that nature, but the next Pokemon Go, I think is gonna be crazy big because now it's gonna be where I actually own this Pokemon. Um, and when I'm actually collecting it, I collect. If I go and catch a Pokemon, it's actually mine. I can trade. Um, it can grow, it can evolve, and things of that nature. And then now when you battle people, you can put them on the line, and it just creates a new way to interact with digital items. Um, and okay, and to add on to that too, like where I think even like after that, where I think things are going, I think that design. So for that category, I would call that spatial, like spatial tech. Is definitely going to be like the next thing. Not definitely. I'm not Nostradamus, but I think spatial tech is going to be huge in the future. And then design, and this is why talking to artists is like try to make sure like this is the beginning, the beginning of an art revolution, like what we're doing now. Um, this is just the beginning because we're still talking about ownership. We haven't really talked about um we're not really into mainstream making the actual art itself extremely let's say I'd say easy, like more efficient and easier for mass adoption. Um, but I think we're gonna get to a point where creation and design becomes like as mainstream as NFTs are, where now you can have things where you can talk to AI or talk to sorry, 1 second. You can talk to I could go to I can go to this AI system mixed with things like 3D printing, mixed with things like VR and AR, and go, okay, I want to create. 'Cause even now with 3D printing, you can create things. People can create things that humans ourselves can't create. Um, so I think it's going to get to a point where, again, you mix with AR, 3D printing, things of that nature. We can go, hey, I want to make a, I don't know what I'm looking at. I want to make a lamp, and the computer knows, okay, we know what the main aspects of a lamp are, and then you can use things like your hands. You have some AR glasses on, and you can use things like your hands, um, your eyes, your whatever the more natural things to create designs, and then it takes that design, make it practical to build, and then you get a 3D printed version of it. And I think that's gonna be when you get humans when you get humans to create things, you get amazing things to happen. And once we get that's why I think it's so cool now that art is being put on the pedestal. Um, but I think this is just the beginning, though. So I hope that this was good enough to like kind of understand like where we were, where we're at now, and then where we're going to be with these technologies. Um, but yeah, I hope that made any type of sense to you guys. But if anybody had any questions, I'm definitely down to answer whatever questions you guys have. Questions, thoughts, like don't perspectives, anything.
That phrase, like, it's just the beginning. It's something that when I started in crypto, like in the beginning of this year, people from the project that I was in was literally saying this every time to me, and I didn't really understood this at that time. And now that I'm like having the possibility to share and spread knowledge about blockchain and NFTs, I'm I'm the person that are repeating this phrase for my friends. And it's really funny because now I see that it's really the beginning, and yeah, like
Yeah.
I'm really happy. Like NFT literally got my life upside down. I'm from Brazil, and yeah, like here the political situation is really bad, and so yeah, like NFT saved my life, and it's been like giving me the possibility to, I don't know, like spread and tell other people to have the same feelings as me. And yeah, I'm so happy. So yeah, thank you for the classes. It was really awesome that you were keeping like asking things and pushing us to speak. And yeah, thank you so much for your time. And yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I mean, I agree. Anyone else? I'm sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. I thought someone else was. Yeah, no, that's awesome. I definitely agree. Like, when I first started this journey, it was literally just me and my dad. Like, no one else really cared about like 2016, 17, 18. 'Cause it wasn't as practical. It was just more like tokens and coins and stuff like that. Um, So it wasn't, it wasn't, it was still interesting to see where things are going. And when smart contracts came up at first, then me and my dad were like, this is interesting, because then we started thinking about, I guess, like how companies would use it. So we were like, I remember we were talking about like like health insurance, health insurance, and I think about like Apple watches and things of that nature, where like you can be incentivized to have good health through like these tokens, um, where they can give you crypto so that you can keep for every step, every 1,000 steps you take, things of that nature. I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Um, and then NFTs came along, and that kind of really changed how like how I thought about what's going to be the impact of all this. Um, and it's as crazy as it is that what's going on. I always like making things simple, and it's really simple. Like we try, I not this is not in the I'm not saying this in the religious sense, but like humans create. That's what we do. We create, and we're going to keep creating things, and if possible, until we are God. Like until we want like what's the most efficient thing to do? The most efficient thing in terms of creation is to think it and then it exists. That's the most efficient thing. So like we're going to keep doing that. We're going to keep creating technology until we get to the point. He's even like with Elon Musk and like Neuralink and stuff, where he's saying that, we're gonna put this chip this chip in your brain, and then you're gonna be able to sync with AI and sync with the internet. So it's just interesting to see the steps that we're going through currently to get to the point of like the ultimate and the most efficient form of creation and ownership and things of that nature. It's just really cool.
Hey guys, this is Boria. Just wanted to say I'm on a break now from work, so I'm kind of hiding a little bit, but I just wanted to pitch in. So I thank you so much for this conversation. It's like water to a desert, especially when I'm really happy about our community here because we can share everything that's so inspirational for us, but also to dive deeper into what this technology is and where it's going. And most of the times, I notice my countrymen and people that I discuss NFTs with here, most of them are just in it for the money, and it's very obvious. And it's nothing bad about it. It's being an artist is always great to be able to tap into unexplored markets. But then whenever we talk, I always tend to um, try to convey them to seeing the actual revolution of this, and that it's a lot more than just money, and it's changing how we're thinking and what we're doing, and that it's going to be very big not long from now. And I guess I really want to say thank you um, for these lectures and for having a space where people are not just talking about money and ether prices all the time. Thank you.
Thank you for that. That's an excellent point. That yeah, it's yeah, I 100% agree. I always say that with money too. Money is just a byproduct of the value you can give to another person. Um, so instead of it sounds weird, but like logically, if you do care about money, then you probably shouldn't be care about money. Like care more about the value, care more about what you're creating, care about what you're doing for people. Because at the end of the day, it's about people. It's about like we keep always like we've been talking about, making things easier for people, making things more efficient, expressing yourself, so that other people, you know, uh, understand like what you're going through, and that so they can understand what they're going through and things of that nature. So yeah, it's definitely all this tech, all this stuff that's going on. At the end of the day, it's about people. So ironically, if you do care about the money, then stop caring about the money, because that's going to come with the value that you create for society. Uh, but yeah, so if anyone else have any other questions, I guess I'll leave it there. If I'm gonna get, I'll give it a minute or two for anyone to say what it, say something about what they're doing or how they feel about the space, and then I guess we'll end it there. Check the chat real quick. Okay, yeah. So yeah, I guess last thoughts, like just remember that like I always say, understand history, analyze the present, and then predict the future. Um, and once all of us, as we keep understanding historically why we create and how technology gets adopted, culturally, when do people start accepting new technology, things of that nature, then it becomes pretty. Once you start doing that, it gets really easy to understand what's going on right now. Because we do the same things over and over and over again, just in different forms. Analyze what's going on presently. So as talks like these, conversations with your friends, getting on Twitter, following people that talk about these things, listening to their Twitter spaces, going to podcasts, things of that nature. So you can have more. The more information you have, the better. And I know people say like time is money or time is everything, but I see more time is like a box to me, because if you do nothing with that time, then it doesn't really matter. I think is information is where it's really at, because if time is a box, information is what you fill it with. And the more information you fill that time with, the more valuable you can be to yourself and to others. So yeah, and then predict the future. It's always important to understand what's going to happen in the future, so that one, you can get ahead of it, and also two, you can be, if it's something that you don't agree with, you can have information enough to impact and create your own future, or create a future that you would like to see. But that comes through, again, information. So keep having these conversations. This is really fun. Hope I can talk to you guys more in the future. And yeah, appreciate it. Thank you guys.
Thank you very much. If you can put your Twitter on the
Oh
chat,
yes.
it's cool. Yeah. And thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Thank you, Bomani.